Welcome back to my channel, guys. We are going to be doing another phenomenal tutorial. This one is a seasonal sort of fall inspired or autumn inspired earrings, as well as a little tutorial on how to use my guides. And my guides, that's my tools that I developed, and also how to use up some scraps and make an amazing slab. I know, fun. Anyway, let's check out the colors we're using today. This is gold, but it's a color mix, and it is using Primo Accents Antique Gold as well as Primo Accents Gold. Now that's a 1-to-1 ratio, and it's actually one of my favorites. I use it all the time, so you know, just be very thankful that I decided to share that. This is also my navy mix. Are we just living for how I've laid these out, by the way? So my navy mix is Poppy Seed by Souffle, Lagoon by Souffle, which is also going to be discontinued. Yes, we can be sad about that, but we can find a color recipe, and Royalty by Souffle. Now, the color ratio for this is 1 whole bar of Souffle Lagoon to 1/4 of a bar of Souffle Royalty, and then 1 tiny little sort of cube of the Souffle Black Poppy, or the Poppy, whatever it's called. This here is probably one of my most favorite colors at the moment. If you can see, it's also got a granite effect inside it, so amazing. So we're using Cinnamon by Souffle and Igloo by Souffle. The color mix is 1 full bar of white to a 1/2 a bar of cinnamon, I think. I'm pretty sure. And also the granite effect inside is actually using that fine black glitter. And what you do is you basically just mix it through the clay. I just sprinkled a big chunk on. If I was to measure it out, it would probably be like a teaspoon of glitter, you know. Just a teaspoon of glitter will keep the doctor away, you know. Also, this miniature unicorn horn that I decided to make look really cute is straight cinnamon. Living for the color mixes that we've got going on here, right? I also decided to include a stripe cane. Now, I don't know. Later on, I'm not sure if it really works. But if you want to see how I make that, check out my last tutorial. I'll link it below. Because, you know, I tell you how to do it. And if it isn't already obvious enough, it's black and white. All right. Souffle Igloo and Souffle Poppy Seed. My favorites. But yeah, it's definitely an effective type of look for sure. This light peach color is a mix of Cernet. It's either coral or English rose. I'll confirm it in the comments below. I'll put all the color recipes down below with the ratios. I'm pretty sure that's English rose, but I could be wrong. It could be coral, and obviously white. So I'll put that color recipe down below because I might just need to test that a little bit, you know, in my own time. Anyway, let's have a little chat about my guides now, because I'm kind of excited to share those with you. Right, so let me talk about my depth guides. Basically, I developed these guides as a way to control and gauge the depth of a slab when I was making it. So the large depth guides are 4.5mm thick. The sparkly ones, which are small depth guides, are 3mm thick. They're made of acrylic, they're hard wearing, they're easy to keep clean. They're basically like glorified popsicle sticks, if I'm being really honest with you. But they're amazing tools and they're super easy to use. Let's see how right now. So we grab our large depth guides, we grab our clay, and as you can see, exactly what I'm doing right here is that I'm rolling with an acrylic roller Every time I do a roll, I pick it up and move it. That's just to ensure it doesn't stick to the surface, because even though tiles are nice and glossy, they're still not 100% non-stick. So just move it around, make sure that you're getting a really nice even base. It doesn't need to be a perfect round circle, it doesn't need to be a perfect rectangle, it just needs to be the perfect depth. So we always start with our large depth guides. Once we've got down to that depth, we chuck it on a piece of baking paper and we're ready to go. We check for hair, we check for lint, we roll up balls of leftover clay. Okay, I'm not sure, I don't know why I did this. I think it was just like, oh hey guys, look, I'm putting my clay aside, whatever. Anyway, this base is perfect, ready to go, ready to start layering, ready to start getting creative, putting all our patterns and our colors and all the good stuff on. So I'm just grabbing this little stainless steel cutter, which happens to have kind of like a fan shape, and I just really wanted to use that gold. So I chucked it through my clay machine on the thinnest setting, which is a lot less than a mil, because anytime you layer anything on your slab, so obviously our slab's 4.5 mil, you're going to be layering something on top of that, and then you're going to take it down to 3 mil using those small depth guides or the final depth guides, and that's your finishing depth. The thing is, if you put thick layers on, you're really going to struggle to get a smooth amalgamated finish. So it's just really important that anything you lay onto your base or onto your slab is nice and thin and not too thick, just so that you can get a smooth finish, basically. Oh, okay. You know what they look like? They look like little golden tacos. Everything relates to food for me right now, just so you know. I'm pregnant, so that's why. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to just use our X-Acto knife and cut those little half semicircle fan shapes into, well, like that shape. What is that? Like, I was going to say half semicircle. It doesn't make sense. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, you can see I've just cut it into halves. When we're laying out patterns or layering or anything onto our slab, it's really important that we share the love and make sure that everybody gets a little bit of topping on their pizza, if you know what I mean. So the reason being is that when we come to cut out our slab using shape cutters, we want to make sure we get a little bit of every pattern on each little cut, no matter how big or small it is. I feel like, honestly, on reflection and watching this back a few times, I do wish that I had put a few more pieces on in different areas and closer, but at the end of the day I was still happy with the finish. That's just me being extra pedantic. Oh, I mean, throw it on. Let's see what happens. Anyway, yeah, I see personally for me, I can see a couple of spaces. Now, this is another little trick where I probably should have picked this up and I didn't. I was more worried about showing you the technique. If I grab my large depth guides again, which is why I was pointing to them, they're the large ones, and just do one roll over, turn it, and do another roll, that just helps you see how the pattern is going and how it's going to spread out. Because that's also another really, really important thing. If you put any patterns or designs on top that are too thick, they will double or triple in size, and you just won't get that nice crisp defined pattern or shape that you were initially after, if that's what you wanted, of course. Now what I'm doing is I've just grabbed some cinnamon and chucking it through the clay machine on the thinnest setting. And I'm going to use you'll see me do this a lot. It's one of my favorite techniques to do. It's just a basic ripping technique. We use thin clay, and you can see exactly how I'm doing it. I'm just holding it over the slab and then using my finger to press down. And it just gives me random sort of torn edged clay that can have such an amazing effect. I absolutely love the contrast of these colors. So you know that base was made using cinnamon and white, and then putting the full cinnamon on top is just such a rad contrast. So I kind of love it. I mean, rate myself, right? What did I decide to do with this? Ah, that's right, yeah. So with that really light peach colour, again, popped it through the clay machine on the thinnest setting. It's basically what I do with any pattern layering for that, using any of these techniques. And instead of doing the ripping technique, I'm using my X-Acto knife just to get a little bit more control. And what I'm doing, you'll see in a second because I'm going to show a close-up, is that I'm putting the light peach straight over top of the cinnamon, which when it rolls down will almost have like a leopard print look, or is that cheetah print, leopard print? It's going to have some sort of exotic look about it. With the navy, I actually initially didn't know what I was doing, so I cut that up for no reason. And then I decided to put it through my clay machine, and I'm going to do some little dashes. Now there's a couple of different techniques for dashes. This is my one, where I like to pop it through the clay machine on the thinnest setting, slice it into a strip of the thickness of the dash that I want, and then actually just cut off little pieces. The other way to do dashes is to do like roll it into little snakes. I find if you do it this way though, you get a crisper, more controlled dash than you do if it's cut from a snake or like a little I don't know, what is it called? Like a mini sausage? Anyway, I decided just to do half of the fan with the dashes rather than fill the whole area, because I already have a really good contrast with the cinnamon. The navy is just almost like an extra touch. By the way, just in all honesty, this is not how I imagined it initially going. Okay? See close up, you can see what I've done. Yay! And this is right, we've got our small depth guides, sparkle, sparkle. And we are about to roll our final depth. Now, before we roll, it's really important that we take it off the baking paper. Do exactly what we did with the large guides, but in this roll, we're a little bit more gentle on that first roll, and we move it every single roll around and around and around, and we do it very slowly and very carefully, just to try not to stretch those patterns too much. As you get thinner, you do need to be more gentle when you pick it up so that you don't stretch it too much. But this is also keeping in mind, make sure that you've put everything you want to put on there, because once you go down to 3 mil, you cannot add any more clay on top. Now, when I say you can't add any more clay, I mean, make sense, girl, make sense, come on. That is for my finish that I like, which is a very smooth, amalgamated finish. If you wanted to have raised clay, you absolutely can add more clay to the top. It's a personal choice. It's kind of, very personal. Anyway, we're going straight into texturing here. So I've got my dotting tool, and I've decided to do little dots on all the light peachy bits in the middle of those cinnamon bits. Oh, and I sped it up. Oh, isn't that just so helpful? I mean, how boring would it be if you actually had to watch that? All right, so this is my favorite texturing tool, which is a needle tool. And I decided to go around the edge, just doing almost like a little dash. So I'm just, you can kind of see what I'm doing. I don't really need to explain it. And then I decided to add dots. I don't know why. I just felt like it at the time. The thing with texture, I don't really feel like you can go overboard. I feel like it's just one of those things that you can just keep going if you want to. You do need to be careful because you can't take it back. So once it's on, it's on. So I think just maybe a little bit of extra thought goes a long way when it comes to texturing a slab. Oh, the end result though. The end result. What do we think? It's not what I expected, but I don't hate it. Do you know what I mean? I think it's pretty. But I do wish I had more gold fans in there. So I feel like they spaced too much. Obviously we're going to cut now. You know, this is my selection. You've seen these before in other tutorials that I've done. I have a selection of different types of cutters. I am going to do a cutter review and tutorial later on, but for now, these are just ones that I've gotten off Etsy or eBay. and they're a mixture of stainless steel cutters and 3D printed cutters from actually all over the world, which is kind of cool. So I don't know if you noticed this, but at the beginning of the video, all the earrings that I did were actually on hoops. And that's because these were actually going to be statement earrings or dangles, you know, with components. But it turns out that I decided to use these for my masterclass. So if you come to one of my workshops and you come to a masterclass, everyone gets a pair of earrings, whether it's hoops, studs, or dangles, whatever. And so I just decided to use these because I had a masterclass coming up. And these all went on beautiful black hoops that I got from Over the Rainbow, which is an Australian supplier of polymer clay tools and stuff. I'll link her below. Now, that little bit of clay that I cut off earlier on that slab is this little bit of clay, and then I just used the gold scraps that I had left over and did the little ripping technique just to make this little extra slab. I also decided to add navy into the center, as you can see here. So I added navy into that little slab, and that's just going to be some extra components, or, you know, it's just a very small little slab to go in with that. Now, I had this really weird, like, I felt like the stripes didn't really like match in at all with what I was doing, so I kind of put them aside. But later on I do cut them out, and I do still use them as separate little hoop earrings. Just texturing that slab. I think I do a very simple texture on this one, where I just do the little dashes with my needle tool. Oh, and some dots, okay. I don't remember what I did. Anyway, it turned out really cute. I actually really love it. I think it's nice and simple and effective with the navy in it. So those are all the components I've got so far, and then I'm just going to cut this slab up as well to add some extra components. I feel like cutting them up is just, I get a bit of anxiety because I hate wastage. Oh, and then we go straight into cutting up the striped slab as well. I ended up using those also go onto hooks by themselves as well, but they look really cute. And here we go. We're going to go straight into slab. We're going to go straight into a scrap slab. So all I'm doing is grabbing all of the scraps that I have from what I've just been making. And then I decided to take the navy out, because what I'm going to do is basically smush up all of these right here. And I'm also going to add in the leftovers from the slab I just cut up right now. And I'm going to roll this into a big fat snake. Yep, that goes to the side. So I roll this, just smush it all together into a big snake, chop it up just like that, and smush it all together and roll it with my large depth guides into a base depth. I use the navy leftovers and use the ripping technique randomly. I mean, already this looks so amazing. And that's it done. I mean, that was so fast. So yeah, hopefully you saw what I did, but I basically just smushed it up, rolled it into a snake, sliced it up, and then put the little slices together without a backing at all, and then just rolled it out. And the texture, and then I spent a lot of time texturing this, so I do fast forward through this because, I mean, it gets boring after a while. But yeah, I textured it a lot, and I just treated it like another slab, cut it out for components. And it turned out really cool. I don't know if you saw as well, I actually embossed the beige area, or the sort of like that cinnamon beige area, with my dotting tool. And there they all go onto the tray. Amazing. Into the oven. Curing times will be down below. And then all I did after that was drill holes and add the hoops. So there's no gluing involved, and obviously I sanded them all. But if you want to see my sanding technique, I am going to do a special video on that, tutorial on that later on. But yeah, Amazing. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, comment below, like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Well, I won't see you, but you'll hear me again soon. Thank you. Bye.